How did you become interested in nutritional oncology and natural healing methods?
So I've been interested in natural healing since I was a teenager. Started out exploring vegetarian diet and assisting veterinarians with animals that were injured and sick. And I learned a lot by watching animals heal and seeing how they had this natural healing process that could mend a broken wing or a broken leg very easily. Became interested in using nutrition as a way to facilitate healing, and I worked with Michio Kushi, who was the head of the macrobiotic movement in Boston. I was his assistant for a year, and through that process I became very interested in cancer and using food and natural healing methods to help people with cancer. That was the earliest experience I had with helping people with cancer, was strictly with food, whole foods, plant-based nutrition, using mostly grains and vegetables and fruits and fermented foods. At that time, we saw a lot of very remarkable benefits that people received from being on this kind of diet. And then later, I explored other diets like raw foods and various detoxification regimens, which have been very helpful to people who are full of toxins from both lifestyle and from treatments, in some cases chemotherapy. These detoxification regimens can be very beneficial in the sense that it relieves the body of a huge burden and often creates a big surge in energy and mood and immunity. So my experience with foods, whole foods, was the entry into using nutrition, and then about 15 years after I was introduced to macrobiotics and whole foods nutrition, I started using more herbs and different kinds of supplements. I also worked as a health writer for a number of years, and through that process I was able to interview experts from all over the world, mostly doctors in Europe, some doctors in Southeast Asia, in Russia, and of course the United States. And so I came to see that there's quite a wide range of views on how to use nutrition and natural medicines for cancer. And I worked on several book projects that helped me understand cancer from different perspectives. And then eventually my graduate training at UNC, School of Public Health, gave me a great angle on how to be able to research and synthesize information in such a way that it could be very helpful to people with cancer. So my graduate training certainly prepared me for a lot of fruitful collaborations with cancer experts, both in the research area and in clinical application. The most important training I've had has been with Dr. Keith Block, who's based in Skokie, Illinois. He's the director of the Block Center for Integrative Caner Treatment. So he has taught me a huge amount about how to use nutrition and other natural medicine strategies for cancer to help people before, during, and after cancer treatment. Deeply grateful for his guidance. I was very close to his clinical work for about 15 years. Yeah.
How did you become interested in nutritional oncology and natural healing methods?
A lot of that interest started in my early work as a macrobiotic counselor and in my assisting Michio Kushi, the leader of the macrobiotic movement, back in the early 1980s. At that time, the approach was all whole foods, plant-based diet, and Michio Kushi was bringing a lot of insight from the East, from Japan, about using foods in a medicinal way. And so I learned a tremendous amount by being his assistant and seeing people who were extremely ill recover their vitality and go through their cancer treatments much better than would be expected. In fact, many oncologists at the time were saying, gosh, you know, this is remarkable how well you're getting through this radiation treatment. You know, people in the radiation ward would be suffering tremendously who were not on the macrobiotic diet, and the patients who were getting through those treatments very well. So that was my early inspiration. And then working as a reporter for Natural Health magazine, as a writer for that magazine, and other health-related journals, I was given many opportunities to interview people who were working with cancer from a holistic or natural point of view. And that enabled me to get a really wide perspective on the different approaches to cancer. And then later in graduate school, I studied cancer from a more scientific, analytical point of view, which is biochemistry, epidemiology, and biostatistics. And through those disciplines, I kind of refined my lens on cancer and the scientific approach to cancer. And then more recently, after graduate school, the past 20 years, I have been working at different integrative medicine clinics, helping doctors who have their own perspective on cancer and learning those perspectives, learning about the different tools that can be used, such as intravenous therapies, vitamin C, alpha-lipoic acid, artemisinin. These are natural medicines that can be very effective against cancer, hitting it directly or supporting the body's ability to eliminate it indirectly. So all of those things combined have been what have informed my approach to cancer and helped shape my current perspective. Yeah. That felt much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
What is it that you offer people with cancer?
I offer practical tools for feeling and functioning better on a daily basis. And some of those tools are nutritional, some are herbal, some are stress management practices, some are therapeutic exercises. And all of these things combined can create a much better quality of life for the person with cancer. So what I offer is really in many what I offer is tools that also help cultivate authentic hope for people who were not feeling all that great when they came to the cancer diagnosis. And so as they notice their energy improving, as they notice their sleep improving, their digestion and their muscle tone and their cognitive functioning, they suddenly feel like they have a new lease on life. And this is often very surprising. And people will say, boy, I'm feeling better than I ever did before. This is almost like this diagnosis was a gift. And it's remarkable how many times I hear people say that this was a gift. Something needed to shift, some pattern needed to shift. And so when I guide people toward new patterns of living and eating and moving, very often they feel a renewed sense of appreciation for being alive, and it is one of the big shifts that happens for people after they've gone through the cancer experience. Sorry, I'm just kind of bumbling now. Yeah, so
It's actually 4:30.
Yeah,
we
we
should check with
we should-
Sabine.
yeah, I think that was good. Thank you.
Okay.
Good, Scott. Really appreciate your being here. It took me a while, but I started to feel a little more
You
flow.
got some good stuff there.